Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boiling Point Podcast. I am your host, the bad guy, JD, and this is episode 131. And I have a very special guest on with me for this episode. He is running for if I have it up on my screen, he is running for state representative for Pennsylvania for the 88th district. That includes New Cumberland, Lower Allen, Mechanicsburg, and Hampton areas. And his name is Jeff Clark. Jeff, thank you for taking the time out of your busy campaign schedule to come on my show.
Thank you. There's one other jurisdiction as well. It's Sharmanstown.
Oh, you're right. Shiremanstown. Yep. I'm sorry. That's on my notes too. And I just saw it at the end. So yes, you're right. And Shiremanstown. So that's New Cumberland, Lower Allen, Mechanicsburg, Hampton, and Shiremanstown.
That is correct.
All right. And so you're running in the primary. You have a primary opponent, so it's not like you're just going through to the general election. So you're campaigning now for the primary. Is that right?
That is correct.
And so what date is the primary, just so we can refresh all of our viewers?
On May 19th, Tuesday, May 19th.
Tuesday, May 19th is the primary, so make sure you get out and vote. You want to do that every election, and even though this is what they call an off year, there's not really off years for elections, so you should make sure you pay attention to all of the races and go check them out. So, Jeff, I usually start with people who are running for office. This is the question I usually start with a little bit. Why are you running for state representative?
I've noticed over the past several years, politics has been of a different atmosphere, so to speak. And last year, I threw the hat in to run for a magisterial district judge. And during that time frame, I had worked extremely hard, and I won the primary. And moving forward, I ended up losing the general election after door knocking over 10,000 houses and making over 3,500 phone calls. I won the day of election, but lost to the mail-in ballot vote.
No, that's interesting. That's not usually something you see very often. So the regular general race was close enough that it came down to the mail-in ballots.
Correct.
And that does happen more in local elections, obviously, than in the national ones. But yeah, that's very interesting here. So what is it you want your voters to know about you?
My platform consists of controlling spending. State spending has increased over the past couple governors that we've had, and household income has not. I want to cut taxes, personal and business tax with the C&I number. Also eliminate property tax. There's too much talk and not enough action going on the past few years, and seniors should not be forced out of their homes. I'm also ensuring public safety, support our police and other first responders, expanding Pennsylvania energy. I want to make Pennsylvania a world leader in energy development, and also term limits. And on a side note, I am for school choice, a big proponent for that, as I had my daughter went to a alternative school last year on the last semester because of different activities that she participates in. So it was more convenient for us, and her grades rose. She was a average student, but she went from like around 93, 94 all the way up to 103. And the attention given it seemed like it was better than going to Cumberland Valley at the time, but she did go back to Cumberland Valley School District this year, and she's doing really well.
Okay, so you talked about a couple of different things on your platform there. So let me ask you specifically about a few of them. I mean, I'm going to start. Let's start with just a little bit of school stuff because we're Boiling Point Podcast is obviously involved with that too here in the local area with some of what's going on in the schools. So, what are your? Wait, we got Mariana in here. Let's just see if she can. Mariana, are you here?
Guys, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you actually. Okay, so I'll throw it to you in just in a moment, Mariana. But I was just asking Jeff about some schools, and you said you're for school choice. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what that means for maybe our viewers who don't know, or who are just maybe they got new kids in the school district?
School choice gives parents the opportunity, gives the power back to the parent to pick and choose what kind of academics the child is going to go through versus just a straight um, agenda that the school district has set up for the year. And it helps children who are either lacking in the education skills at a regular school, or kids that are excelling but aren't getting challenged enough at regular school. It gives more opportunity back to the parent and mostly to the child to help them out to excel and do the best they can.
So okay, so it's not just for being able to choose what your kids want to learn, but it's also for maybe if your kids aren't learning what you want them to learn, and also maybe they're not learning fast enough, or as you said, maybe they're not being challenged.
Correct.
Okay, all right, that's excellent. Mariana, do you have a question, or do you want to jump in, or
I do have a question. What is your position in general about Title IX?
Title IX, if I remember correctly, that's dealing with the sports, correct?
Correct.
Mainly? Okay. I think we need to keep men out of women's sports. I'm 100% for that. I know over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of stories that we've heard, and we need to get back to the way things were, where men playing men's sports and women playing women's sports.
Okay. And I, as your constituent, right?
Yes,
What
ma'am.
are the things that you are offering to bring to the table for the Pennsylvania in our congressional district?
Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
Yes. What are you bringing at the table? Okay, as our congressional, district candidate, if you are elected, what are the things that you're looking to put in place here in Cumberland County?
I think she missed the first part of the podcast, but one of the
yeah, I
aspects.
asked him about what was on his platform. But Jeff, if you want to elaborate on any of the points that you brought up, if you want to elaborate any more on any of those points a little further.
Okay, well, with the property tax, what I said, eliminating property tax, I run into a lot of families over the past, I guess now several months, and there's some people that are saying because of the high rate and increases that they sustained over the past several years, because of the property tax from the school districts, they're looking at vacating or moving out of Pennsylvania because of the high taxes as it continues, and especially more so when they hit retirement age. And we're trying to keep people here. And I noticed that other states are going through the same issues: California, New York City, New York State, and in Pennsylvania. I want to keep the people here, primarily in the 88th district, because that's what I'm running for. And it's home for me. I live in Hampton Township. I'm proud to call it home. And I want to see the people who are here stay here without moving on to other states. Now, about 3 weeks ago, I believe it was, they tried passing a bill at the House and also Senate for property tax, and it was shot down. So I think it's around 5 other states right now that have eliminated property tax, and things are going well for them.
If I have a little follow-up question to that, related to the property tax, because the schools have been raising the property taxes. So even if you eliminate the property taxes, what do you have any plans, or do you have any ideas for how to be able to hold these schools fiscally accountable for their budgets?
I have a good friend, and his wife works for a company that does auditing and stuff. And I know to do a forensic audit, from what they were saying, it's super expensive. And some of these schools have spent, upwards of a lot of taxpayer money. And I know that people are upset over that. And we have to get to the bottom of it. Where's the money going? Just like in the government, where's the money going? And I'm one person, and I know that there's other constituents and other candidates and also senators and representatives that are on board with this stuff, where we can start looking heavily involved, especially after Nick Shirley started opening up the can of worms, so to speak, out of Minnesota, and then he went out to California, and I believe he's in New York State now. So every state has their problems, and over the years we've seen senators and representatives from Pennsylvania get caught up in the fraud, and we need to stop that. We need to get to the bottom of it, figure out where the money's going, and figure out how to clean it up and make sure that the money stays in the taxpayers' pockets, so to speak.
Okay, Mariana?
Okay, that was actually the answer that I was looking for when it comes to the taxes, because the situation with the taxes here in Cumberland County has become a very big thing. Okay, and you are right. Families are looking to leave in droves due to how the school district is raising up these taxes. I just found out that we're looking at possibly another 4%, okay, raise. Now, and I thank you for that. Okay, definitely thank you for that. There's so many things in Cumberland County, you know, that we are looking for somebody who's going to be responsible. We're looking for somebody who's going to be dependable and somebody who's going to be true to their word. Is there one thing that you're like totally passionate about that you want to see happen in Cumberland County? Because there's always that one thing. When I was running for school board, it was the kids. What is the thing that just burns in your soul?
I think everything, honestly, because I want to hold myself accountable for it. And that's why I decided to run for office. If people don't start stepping up, we're running into problems right now, and we've been running into problems. So to take the initiative to do it, like you were saying, running for school board, people need to step up and start taking the initiative to run for office, even though you're going to be challenged a lot of times against maybe the same party, opposition, and you need to stay focused on what you want. And your answer, or you have to answer to the people. They're first. And it's not an I thing, it's a we. And we got to do a collaboration of everybody involved in this. And we need to start cleaning up our state, let alone, you know, I want to make sure the 88th still runs perfectly as it has been, but everybody has their own little niches, and they keep explaining to me what's going on in their section or their area. And I take notes. I go back home and I write all this stuff down, and I talk to some of my campaign folks that are helping me out about this. And we make sure that we address it on shows like this, and also try to put it out on Facebook from time to time.
So what have you said you've been talking to? And I know you're out there hitting the pavement. That's why I'm so glad that we were able to get you on this episode. But what have you been hearing from your constituents? Is there something that you've been hearing more of than something else?
Well, dealing with the seniors, a lot of people are on fixed income once you retire, and sometimes they don't even get a cost of living adjustment for that. The taxes are rising, and their salary or their retirement paycheck is not rising. And so that's an issue. Then they're afraid that they have to cut on other expenses versus, you know, vacating the state and going somewhere else where it's cheaper. And even 40s and 50-year-old folks are telling me the same thing. Once they hit retirement, if the taxes keep going up, they can't keep affording this, and they have to leave. And we don't want that. We want to make sure that people stay here because it helps with the economy, it helps with everything in general. And we do live in a really good area, but because of the increase of pricing, like say at the gas pumps right now, and Pennsylvania has a lot of oil, natural gas, and coal that we could be utilizing to make energy efficient for Pennsylvania and be at the top of the leaders for it. And this is the thing that I want to keep iterating. And it's not about me, it's about all of us.
Yeah.
And we need to start making a change for the better, and our children and the young are the ones that are going to suffer at the end of the day. They're the ones that are going to end up with this massive bill if we don't get this under control.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll ask you about energy in just a minute. Casey has joined us, swapping out with Mariana. They're playing a little musical chairs this evening. So, Casey.
Yeah, I'm sorry I got in on a little late. I had some other things going on. I just like to comment on what I just heard Jeff say there, and I agree with him 100%. There's too many people who run for these offices that make it about themselves and not the cause. And that's one thing I really like about Jeff. He seems to be about doing what's best for the community and for Pennsylvania, and it's not a self-focused matter. I mean, I'm sure Jeff will agree, that if God forbid he does lose this primary, that we will back Savannah Martin in November. We would certainly rather have her any day than Sarah Agerton. And I'll be on record saying now I would definitely support her over Sarah Agerton for sure. And I would hope that the Republican Party, the county leadership of Cumberland County Republican Party would be mature enough that if their preferred candidate didn't win, that they would back you in November. Based on past events, I'm not confident they'll do that, but I will do everything in my power, sure, to call them out on the hypocrisy if they don't stay united as they were preaching to us a few months back. We definitely need to get back to focusing on what's best for the community and the state. And one of the deciding factors that made me decide to support Jeff in this primary is the fact that Savannah Martin, and again, I have nothing against her. I have nothing against her personally at all. She's just part of that establishment machine. Somebody even inadvertently verified that by a question they asked her at that meeting we attended. Is this what you're doing basically as your career right now is running for office? And she confirmed the matter. We also need people who are willing to fight, which I've gotten more confidence in Jeff for important matters, such as protecting children from the pedophilic agendas, giving, pornographic material in the public libraries and in the public schools, of, the genital mutilation that goes on and so forth. With that, this is stuff that needs to be dealt with, and I really admire what Barbara Gleim has done in her leading the fight in the state. And I think she needs more people who will aggressively back her, which I'm confident Mr. Clark will do. And of course, we also need to win at the governor's level. There's many things that need to change, but starting in our own home backyard, that's why I support Mr. Clark myself.
Okay. And yes, I'll tell you what, everybody, all the viewers who are watching this, let's get Jeff Clark elected and let's slowly transition the Boiling Point podcast as the new Republican Party here in central Pennsylvania. Okay. Let's just start doing that. Then we don't even need to worry about the machine or the cogs in it. Just abandon it. Move on.
Were you going to say, Mr. Clark? You was about to say something.
I forgot to mention too, most candidates put out a platform, obviously, but there's always other issues that come up that we remember or get reminded of, and we don't put it on our platform. Just because it's not on the platform doesn't mean it's not important to me. Last night I had a long conversation with a constituent, and we discussed inheritance tax, and that was another big issue for a couple other folks that I had ran into over the past couple months. And I would like to see the elimination of inheritance tax for Pennsylvania.
I'm for eliminating any taxes, as many as we can, obviously. I think a lot of people forget that this country was founded, on a tax revolt. So sometimes when you look at how many taxes and how much time how many times you're taxed by the same dollar, it's insane. So I'm all for eliminating, unnecessary and unreasonable taxes. But that's why I asked you about how do we keep the schools accountable then, fiscally accountable, which is an important thing now, because I think that's why the taxes are going up. I think schools and municipal organizations and stuff aren't being fiscally responsible for their money. It's just, we'll just raise taxes and then, we'll borrow the money and then raise taxes and then we can pay it back. So I think that's an important thing that needs to be handled here in the local area as well, is holding some of these places accountable with the funds that they have.
Mr. Clark, regarding the inheritance tax, do you happen to know by any chance at this current time How much of that is federal and how much of that is state? Do you know like what the percentage breakdown is roughly of that? I have no idea.
I do not know offhand.
Okay. I knew they also do the inheritance tax at the federal level. I just don't know what amount of it, encompasses on what people pay to the federal as opposed to the state. But certainly, that would be a nice thing to see go. It's been sold as a tax on rich people, but basically anybody who's ever owned a home, ends up paying inheritance tax, and that's affects pretty much everybody. To say that that's just something benefit for the rich is absurd. And this inheritance tax, and I don't want to get too far down a rabbit trail though, is one of the main reasons, among many other things, that most farms in America are now either government owned or corporate owned. Over a century ago, virtually all farms, pretty much all farms, were family owned. And it's because of the inheritance tax primarily that has changed. And it's become mostly government and corporate. But I'll let Mr. Clark go from there. I want to quit going down rabbit trails. I apologize for that.
Yeah, it looks like the taxes. I was just looking up the percentage of tax. I didn't find the state what the difference between the state and federal is at this moment. But it looks like anything that's not to a spouse or to a parent from a child, or the other way around, that's the only one where there's 0%. But it just increases after that. So unless you're giving to your direct descendant, then you're being taxed for any inheritance at all. So, and that was just a real quick lookup. I don't have any other further information. I was trying to see if I could find the separation between the state and the federal percentage, but I did not find that on my quick search.
I know that during these interviews and even being out on the street, I tell individuals, I'm one person. I don't know a lot about different issues and stuff like that are going on. I want to learn, but I think the best bet would be probably get an inheritance tax attorney or an inheritance attorney on here that would probably be able to answer those questions best, especially the top rated one.
Yeah. I mean, we're not trying to hold you and expect you to know everything,
right?
Jeff, just for holding. You're running for state representative, and you're learning on the job just like the rest of us have had to do. So yeah, I don't think anybody's trying to hold you to where you need to know it all. And anybody who is need to wake up. Not everybody can know it all. So it's more about what's his platform. What is he? What did Jeff want to accomplish? What does he stand for? What is he going to fight against? That's really what you're looking for when you're for your candidate, unless it's a career politician who knows everything, and that's where we run into those problems. So if you want people who aren't career politicians to run, and that leads me to my next question, Jeff, in just a second, is if you don't want career politicians to always be who you're voting for, then someone has to get up off the couch or out of their office, off the job site, and they have to run. And they're going to learn on the job. No one's going to just start running for politics and then there's no secret politician drink that you drink and I have all the knowledge. That's not how it works. So everybody's learning. Anybody new getting into it is going to have to learn. That's the way it goes. And Jeff, my next question then for you was I'm sorry. Oh, what do you do? What do you do for a living, if I can ask? What is your job or what is your past work experience and stuff?
Before I answer that, I wanted to add one more thing that's on my platform. And if you want, I could send you a postcard type item. And if you could post it on your website or your
absolutely.
Podcast, that would help out. But the last item on there was listed as term limits, as you were just talking about career politician. And that's a big one for individuals that have been voting for years. We see the same politicians going in there. And a lot of times you have good politicians that have been around, but at the same time, we have politicians that are, you don't see them until election time. And then all of a sudden they come by and they want either donations or they want you to vote for them. And we have good politicians and we have bad politicians out there. But I'm a big proponent for term limits, definitely. But to go back to your question now, I'm a retired police officer. over 22 years service. I was in the military during Desert Shield and Storm. Saw a lot of different things over the years, and ended up going to school. All my schooling, for the most part, has been in Pennsylvania with local colleges. So,
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty great. Well, thank you for your service. I didn't know that you had served in the military.
Yeah,
That's
to ask a question regarding that. Now, is there anything that you know of that can be done at the state level, speaking of our police, to make sure they are more adequately supported, especially in communities that would tend to make their job more difficult? I can think of a few in Pennsylvania. I won't mention any names: Philadelphia, York, Harrisburg, but certain places that would declare themselves sanctuary cities, and where God forbid the nonsense reemerges from 2020 at some point, where you have an active anti-police agenda going on with certain local municipalities, governments, as well as activism in the streets. Do you know what could be done at the state level to crack down on communities that would do such a thing, where the police officers would get the support they need instead of having their job sabotaged and having a situation like a crisis they're experiencing in New York right now, where many of their police officers, understandably so, are fleeing New York and going to places like Florida? So,
I think one of the first things when you say sanctuary cities, we probably have to stop that. Go back to being proactive law enforcement back in the, I think it was 80s and 90s. My timing might be off, but Rudy Giuliani was mayor of New York, and he cleaned up that city, broken windows ordeal. And then you go through that, you start cleaning up, trash on the street. And eventually everybody starts getting involved. People start calling up, but calling the police, about crime, but we're getting involved in a society that technology has taken over, and everybody grabs their cell phone instead of lending a hand to individuals that need help. They rather film it. And our society has turned this way in certain areas. Other areas, people will lend a helping hand. I'm not saying everybody will pull their cell phone out. There are some people that will go and help out. And cases like you said, in some of these cities, if we could eliminate the sanctuary cities, that would be the first step. And we got to have people come back to normalcy, I guess it would be, and understanding basic laws. You can't just drive on the highway at 150 miles an hour and expect not to get hurt if you crash the car. Same thing, you go into these sanctuary cities, stuff's happening in all these cities right now, and ICE isn't being able to perform their duties. Law enforcement is basically, I don't want to say given a stand down order, but it's probably happening, where the mayors and the DA's offices aren't doing anything to help out, to prosecute individuals. And you commit a crime, you have to do the time. I'm not saying like for every crime there's a set thing for, or a set sentence, but there's guidelines for every crime that we have in Pennsylvania, and let the judges do their job, and don't put judges in there that will let everybody go either.
And that comes down to, again, local elections and voting in all elections, and know who you're voting for in these elections. As we always say here on the Boiling Point podcast, is probably one of those important things, is know who you're voting for, know who's running, know where your vote is going, and vote. You have no idea how many people I hear like to complain and whine about the state of things. But I ask, who'd you vote for in the last election? I don't vote. Then maybe you shouldn't be complaining.
And that's another thing too that I said earlier, is for the people that want to do that, maybe they need to step up and try running for a position and see how that goes for them. Because if you're complaining that something isn't working, then try to fix it yourself.
Yeah, or at least get involved in the process. Like, you have options. You can get involved in the process. You can try and run so you can change it yourself. You can get active. But if you don't do anything, then maybe you shouldn't be complaining.
Absolutely. There's good people on both sides of the aisle.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time, we have to come back together as unity. And like I said, it's a collaborative effort
We have
on
to be able
everyone's part.
we have to be able to disagree without hating each other.
Absolutely. And that's a good sentence or statement, because we've gone so far to the left or too far to the right, and we need to come back in the middle again.
And be able to discuss. Yeah, it's all about discussion and compromise. That's that's how politics is. It's the art of compromise, negotiations and talking. That's the only way it's done, is with communication, and not blind hatred for something. Casey, do you have any final questions for Jeff? And then I got one last one for him.
I can't think of any questions right now, and I don't want to be too contrarian, John. But I mean, I agree with you. You always have to wheel and deal and make deals in politics, get anything done. But there are certain things, and I'm sure you'll agree that there is no compromise. And
correct, and that's where you don't cross that line. And
yeah, because we're dealing with issues right now. I mean, there's no way of putting it. There's no nuance to them. It's just pure good and evil. And I know I keep bringing this issue up, but because it's so paramount, pretty much embodies all of the nefarious activities that are going on right now, especially the war on children, and that is this whole business of, the child grooming, the active pedophilic, agendas with the public schools and the public libraries, and the what's going on in the medical community, even with this genital mutilation and active promotion of anything that is in deviant. The more deviant, the better. They keep adding new letters and so forth. And I do think that we do need to stand strong and actually hit these issues hard, because some of these issues, such as protecting children from predators, in the public square, plus protecting them from doctors that would disfigure them of their body parts, perfectly functioning body parts. These are 80-20 issues that enjoy overwhelming support. Not only are these issues morally the irrefutably right thing to do, but they are political gold mines. If you want to hit those issues hard, and I would love to see more people, especially people running for office on our side, really go after these issues hard and focus on them. I know it's been the trendy thing the last few decades for Republicans, especially, to stay away from social issues. But honestly, those are the most important issues affecting society. And quite frankly, they're the ones that we enjoy the most popular support on. I mean, the only social issue I can think of where the left has an advantage is abortion. And even there, once you get into details, very few people just want to have abortion in any situation all the way through the end of pregnancy. That's also a very small minority position, just like the solid pro-life position is minority. But again, I don't want to go on too long of a tangent, but I do think that these are important matters that not only should have no compromise, but we should call it out time and time again and force the other side to engage, if nothing else, to put their insanity and foolishness and downright evil on full display.
Exactly. And that's why, with the children, everybody needs to take an active role when they see something that's out of the normal plan of action, I guess, or the normal way of people doing things. We need to step up and correct it immediately, or call law enforcement to help out and do their job. But at the same time, too, there's, on the other side, there's a lot of stuff that happens that we have to be very, very vigilant on, and make sure that we see what we see, and make sure that your actions or the person's actions isn't, like you said, nefarious or criminal. And that's where law enforcement can come into play, in the DA's office, and they can decide what they want to do. But then when we have DAs like what we've seen down in Philadelphia, I don't know what kind of actions they take part of on that scale, but at least on the criminal side, we've been seeing a lot of things getting let go over the years. And we need to be completely in tune with everything, and make sure that we have that phone handy and call 911 when we need to call them, and make sure that the child is the most precious thing in this world.
Into that.
And now for the final question, and then we're.
I'm sorry, John.
No, go ahead, Casey.
I think Mariana had something she wanted to ask or say.
All right, we'll let Mariana get a final question in. I didn't know she was still there. I thought maybe she had stepped away. It was just Casey now, but like I said, musical chairs.
I'm back on my throne.
Very
Okay.
good.
All right. So I want to make basically a very general comment, but I believe this comment needs to be made. And okay, so as a lot of people know, I was the committee person, okay, in Region 1 here in Cumberland County. Now, when the endorsement meeting came, I had to make a decision, okay? And anybody that knows me knows I'm going to stand by the stronger candidate, or the candidate that I feel is going to stand by what they believe in and going to stand by their word. For that reason, I chose to choose and stand by and give my endorsement to Jeff Clark, because I believe that he is the better candidate. I believe that he's the candidate that's going to be able to bring change, to change the Cumberland County needs, and put everything in perspective. Now, that's not to say that I have any angst or dislike against Savannah. I think she's a lovely young lady, okay? But I had to stay true to who I am and stay true to the one that was, had the closest views, okay, on my values, okay, my conservative values, and that is Jeff Clark. I also am thrilled that he has that law enforcement background, because we need somebody that understands what's happening, okay, in our society, has that law enforcement background, knows what needs to be, done, okay, can bring some sort of resolutions or ideas and point us in the right direction to get this done. So to all my friends out there, who's been asking me, Mariana, who do we have? Okay, we have Jeff Clark, okay? What I consider the true bluegrass candidate, okay? The candidate that's going to speak for you. Like you guys know, I'm very big, when it comes to school board, I'm speaking for the parents, and it's about the parents and their rights, as he is for our rights as citizens of Cumberland County. So, ladies, mothers, the mothers who are hearing me from my different mothers group, okay, you're asking me who should we, gravitate to? Talk to Jeff Clark, speak to Jeff Clark, get to know Jeff Clark. I'm sure that he will, be more than happy to answer your questions. But this is a candidate that I believe that will help us, will help put Cumberland County back on the right direction. Okay. So Jeff, I was happy, and because this a rule, Jonathan, I don't know if you know. If you don't endorse the candidate that the GOP wants, okay, then they want you to step down or they will kick you out. Listen, kick me out, because I'm going to stand by truth. I'm going to stand by somebody who has honor. I'm going to stand by somebody who has integrity. Not saying that the other one don't, but this was the one that I chose. And hey, well, it's my freedom, you know what I'm saying? And my constitutional right. And this is the man that I am backing up and I am endorsing. And I am asking you, ladies who are hearing my voice, I'm asking you that when you go out to place that vote, you click on Jeff Clark. And I never steer you wrong, ladies. You know that. Okay, I have spoken to him and I know where his values are, and they align with ours. And I'm gonna step off the soapbox now.
Okay.
There you go.
I had one more question for Jeff Clark, and then I might be able to give him the official endorsement of the Boiling Point podcast. So Jeff, this is the last one. It's not a gotcha question. It's not meant to be that way. What is a woman?
A woman?
Yeah,
It's
what
not a
is
man.
woman?
It's not a man.
It's not a man. Okay,
That's probably about the best way to say it. I mean, in all reality. So
yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure.
They have the correct chromosomes. So
there you go. That's the answer that I was looking for. The chromosomes. The chromosomes decides whether or not you're a man or a woman. So that's the answer I was looking for.
Adult male of the human species.
Correct. Now, real quick,
biological female of the human species. That's a woman.
Yeah, Jeff, go ahead.
Real quick, I don't mind doing this. I want to put a thing up on the screen for a second, if that's okay. It'll have all my information on. I'm hoping that everybody can see it. Maybe it's backwards. I'm sorry, but
no, you had it facing the right way. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yep, we have
That's
it.
my phone number, my webpage, and my email. If you folks have any questions or concerns and want to reach out to me, please give me a call, look at our Facebook, look at our webpage.
And we'll, of course, have his information in the description of this video, so you can always go there and click on links directly. And we'll be sharing Jeff's stuff out on our Facebook pages and our social media pages and stuff as well over the next days and weeks as we move forward towards the primary, which is still a little over a month away yet. So there's still lots of time to go, but there's still lots of people to be able to reach, lots of things that we can do in the meantime.
Now, here's one last thing too. If anybody wants to donate too, we will gladly take any donation. It doesn't matter. Nomination doesn't matter. If you want to give us a call, we can pick it up. But if you want to write a check, but we're getting that WinRed up and running hopefully by the end of today and tomorrow. It's a conservative place where you can go and donate on the webpage as well.
Okay.
But if you feel more comfortable writing a check, we can pick it up and we could deposit it at the bank. We appreciate any kind of donations. We're doing really good right now. We're out there every day campaigning. We're getting a lot of support from the public out there. And it's really invigorating to get out there and talk to these folks because everybody has a story. And we try to document as many as we can and keep track of everything.
Excellent.
To my Spanish-speaking friends, vota para Jeff Clark. Llámame, te doy el número de teléfono. Si quieres donar, llámame, te doy la información. Casey.
Gracias.
Is there anywhere people can go online to donate to you?
No,
that was the thing. We're getting the WinRed up and running right now. I'm hoping it'll be up by the end of today or tomorrow.
Once you have it up, make sure you let me know. Once you have it up, make sure you let me know. I'll make sure it gets shared out on our social media and on all our stuff, so that way people can find it.
Right.
Right now, they can just send a check to the card that you put up on the screen.
Yes, or they can call me up. I don't mind picking checks up. Some of our campaign help will go out there. If they text me and tell me that they have a check, I'll let them know who's picking it up and give me a time and we'll come by and pick it up.
Okay.
All right. So anybody, and we'll put that card, I'll put in post-production. I'll put the picture of your card up on the screen again. So there it is up on the screen again. Make sure you check it out and share it out to everybody and vote for Jeff Clark. That's it. Give him some donations, but also give him your vote. Don't forget to get out there and vote on election day, primary day first.
I have one thing too. I think when I was speaking earlier, when I was saying, make sure you see what you see when you're dealing with children, always call the police up, always err on caution no matter what, and let the law enforcement deal with it and the district attorneys deal with any problems with issues with children.
Yeah, I think you were just talking because of that fine line where you don't want to, someone who's not guilty of something, you don't want to be putting them in the crosshairs, but at the same time, if you're ever not sure of something, it's always probably better to err on the side of caution when it comes to children and any of that stuff. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree with you because, yes, of course, we don't want any of that to happen, but we also don't want anybody innocent being penalized for something that didn't happen either. It is a fine line that our justice system walks, but it takes all of us to be able to accomplish it. Thank you, Jeff Clark, for taking the time and coming on this episode. We hope to have you back and do a live episode maybe next time where we can get some more supporters tuning in and, of course, share this out, everybody. And hit that like button, leave a comment for Jeff Clark because we're hopefully going to have him back. If we get some questions, we can always do a portion of it as a Q&A episode for some of the people who left questions. So leave a comment, leave a question. And also you can donate to Jeff Clark, but of course, don't forget to check out our storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast and pick yourself up some apparel. And so you can support the brand. And Casey doesn't have anything to plug. He works for me. So thank you, Jeff Clark. Thank you, Casey and Mariana, for coming on this episode. And Jeff, until next time, I am your host, JD, and this is not the end, only the beginning.
Go Clark!